Sloughs are here. Yes, the world's strongest duelist is here. And today, I'm going to do one long ass tier list. I'm probably missing some. I mean, there's so many, but I'm gonna go through the best and the worst hand traps and board breakers for Master Duel in today's meta. Super Heavyweight Summarize just came out with Gold Pride. I was trying to find some myself. I'm not up to date with TCG, so I want to know what can I counter these decks with, and I couldn't find anything. So I thought, fuck it, let me do some research on these decks, and I will be the one to do the tier list. Finding all these hand traps and board breakers took a while, but now I've saved everyone because my tier list is going to be 100% fact. It's not an opinion. Now let's just get on with it because this is going to be long. Oh, if you are new to my channel and aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe to be up to date with all my Master Duel content and to be updated when I live stream, which includes 1v1 duels with viewers. Now with that all being said, let's go. First up is Ghost Bell. Now how I like to decide with some hand traps is how good do they do against the top 5 decks of the format. Now I don't know what the 5th best is, and to be honest, one of the decks I'm gonna mention, I don't even know if they're top 5, but I do find them annoying when I go against them, and that's Labyrinth. Man, the worst formats are when you have combo heavy decks and a strong trap deck, and they just gave Dinomorphia support. So another trap deck, you don't know if you want going second cards against those trap decks or the combo decks. It's annoying. So I'll put at the top of situational. The reason is the top 3 I'm confident are going to be Branded, Super Heavyweight, and Vanadium. I'm just going to throw in Labyrinth. Again, I don't know if they are considered top 5, but they're just annoying as fuck. When it comes to Ghost Bell is extremely good against Branded, as they have so many cards that mess around with the graveyard. If adding Branded Fusion back to the hand, or Branded in red, it's a good card against Branded. Labyrinth, we know it's really good against them because of Welcome Back, the one that special summons from the deck, hand, or graveyard, so it can stop that as well, and that's a big stop. And even with Super Heavyweight Sunrise and Vanadium, they do have cards that are basically monster reborns. They'll bring back a monster from the graveyard back onto the field, and this stops it. That's why I'm saying it could be a solid choice, because it will always have a purpose against those 4 decks. And even against other decks, Mathmech with their trap card, or any of those links who start special summoning like crazy from the graveyard, it can stop cool buys, which is nice. The only problem is it's usually when the board's already established or they're like in the middle of it, and when you stop them, it could stop their extenders or it end on what they've got already, but they might already have an Omni Negate or 2 negations on field or whatever, or something strong already, and the Ghost Bell is really just preventing them from having a more powerful board. Now this one, I'm not even going to talk about it that quick. It's Max C. It's the best hand trap in the game. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I don't need to explain this one. Honestly, I don't. Best thing about this, well, 2 things. One, it just shuts off combo decks on turn 1. This card, I mentioned it on stream, can make even a trash deck, and they're not even rogue tier, be a beast. If a trash deck opens up with Maxi against a combo, they could be tier 1, let's say Vanadium, and they open up Maxi, and they maxi them, it either shuts off their turn 1, or if they do play through it, they're gonna have like 10 to 20 cards in hand, and surely then they can win from there. So that's just one. It's just too powerful, and I think that's why they'll never ban it, because as I just said, it can make even worse decks work. And the second thing is, this can draw into any of these. Oh well, you can't use shift after, but you get my point. You can draw multiple hand traps with Maxi, so hands down the best in the game. Everyone should be playing that at 3. Shifter, even though not that many decks can play it, it has to go on goated, because the decks who can play it, I swear, as soon as they just use it, it feels like they just win. Because a lot of decks these days have to use the graveyard. You can play over it, like one of my main decks is Plunder Patrol. You can still play under Shifter, but then you won't get your pluses back. You'll just have a board, and then that's it. You won't get your draws or your searches after, or your special summons from the deck. You got no extenders. You have to kind of just put everything on the field and hope that wins you the game, or you just have to pass turn, just like a Maxi. Of course, if you go against a deck who doesn't need a graveyard, you don't give a shit. Like when you see Flu and they drop this, you just surrender. This is easily goated if you can play it. It's just too powerful. Veiler, I would say situational. It's nice to have. Me personally, I don't play it. I feel like there's a lot better hand traps out there, but if you want multiple hand trap negations, Veiler's your second best option. Spoiler alert, and that is Imperm. Might as well go into that now. either solid choice or goated. A lot of people put at goated. I'm actually gonna put a solid choice, and I'll explain why. But right now we're still at Valor. Valor's good because let's say you do go first and you do have a spell or trap set, you have to then set Imperm, while Valor will just always be usable on your opponent's turn. But then that's the bad thing, it has to be on your opponent's turn. That's dead. Sometimes you need a negation on your turn, especially if they have like a Baron, you know, you can then just Imperm and waste their Omni negate. Or if they don't negate, then they can't do anything that turn. So that's why I put situational, and that means obviously Imperm being the best hand trap negation, that has to go above. Now people put at goated. The reason why it's goated is because it's usable against any deck, rogue deck, trash deck, the best deck. There will always be a time when you can use Imperm. Sometimes against the top decks it does nothing, but then at times it can really end their turn if they didn't open up right. Now my issue with Imperm, for example Samurai, a lot of their effects on graveyard and they just add, so Imperm does nothing there. Or there's some certain cards like Scarecrow Rich Heart where if you try to Imperm them, or Raisin from Vanquished Souls, but then they can chain to it. So then you're just wasting it, because then they can bounce it back to the hand or destroy it, and then they will still get the effect and you just burnt out one of your negations. That's my only issue with it. Or against Lab, when they have a set card and they have their boss monster, Lady Labyrinth, you can't target, so it's like, oh man. It's good against branded though, but again, it's one of them things where is one negation enough? However, after speaking about this, the fact that it honestly can go against any deck, there's no deck Imperm's not good to have against. Even if it really does nothing, it's the fact that you have it, you're like, all right, cool, there may be a chance to slow down their turn. Yeah, so you have to build goated. It'll probably be at the back of it at the end. Any card that can go against any decks, like Maxi, is terrible against Lab, but at least when they summon Servant, you can negate them there. So that's a good thing. Herald of the Abyss. See, the thing with this, it really depends. If you're playing Triple Tactics Thrust, then I'll put in situational, because you can always search it. But if you're not, then I'll put it in the meh. Only because even though it can get rid of any card, any big monsters that's unaffected by card effects, or can't be targeted and shit like that. But the issue with that, it's in effect. They can just negate it. It really just depends who you're going against and the boss monster they put on the field. And that's what I said about if you had Thrust, let's say they didn't have an Omni negate, then it's a very good situational card, because now you can use Thrust because you're like, all right, Herald of Abyss is usable, let's use it. If you can't use it because they got Omni negate, it's like, cool, I don't bring it out. But right now, there's a lot of Omni negates running around. It's a bit crazy. You're just seeing like 2, 3, possibly in end boards these days. Omni negates. No, that's crazy now. It used to be just monster negate. Like, wow. Omni now. Alright, Skullmeister. You know what? I'm gonna do this with DD Crow because they're very similar in my eyes. They both stop one card in the graveyard. Or, for example, if someone used the Beast Duel, you can use DD Crow to stop that. But the point is, it's usually just stopping one card. I would still put them both in the meh. I think Ghost Spell is better, honestly. The fact that, as I mentioned, not only can this stop graveyard effects if they're again special summon or going back to the hand, it can stop Welcome Lab, it can stop Branded in Red. I mean, technically DD Crow can also stop Branded in Red, but there's so many cards these days that have an effect in the graveyard. You could banish it, but it would still go off. So even though this can stop certain cards, it can't stop the negations, and then this the same. It's the opposite for Skullmeister. This can stop the negation, but a card on the field or on your hand that targets the graveyard, this does nothing. So it's like if you have both of them, then it's nice, but if you only have one of them, it's meh. You know, it really depends on the deck you're going against. They'll have their moment to shine, but honestly, I would rather Ghost Spell. Ash, easy goated. Ash is the second best hand trap in the game. It's just so good. Stop searching, stop special summoning from the deck. Every deck these days, search or special summon from the deck, and this just stops that. And it stops Maxi. So yeah, it's just a beautiful card. You love to have it. Honestly, sometimes I'm more happy to see an Ash than a Maxi. Don't get me wrong, obviously when you see Maxi, you're like, oh yes. But at least with Ash, it's good against every single deck. Similar to Imperm, but better. Nibiru, I'm going to go with, there's no orders, I'm just putting them in their tiers because then this could take even longer. I'm putting situational because against Manadium, Branded, well actually Branded could play against Nibiru. You know, they could just do 4 summons and end. That's if they want to. It really just depends on their hand. But Manadium, Samurai, they're gonna special summon like crazy. But the thing is, can you stop them at a time before they get into an Omni Negate. That's the issue. Absolutely can kill the tier 2 and tier 3 decks that special summon like crazy, like Mathmech, Pearly, but then it'll die to Lab. This is what I said in the beginning of the video. I hate when there's very solid trap decks, but then the meta's combo heavy as well. Because it's like, you could fit so many of these combo heavy hand traps or board breakers, but then when you do come across a Labyrinth or a Dino Morphia now, or God forbid, pure stun. Oh my gosh. Well, actually, no, they're pretty much dead. So now it would have to be like a runic stun. Oh, then this sucks. Actually, bro, I'm changing my mind again. I'm just thinking, because it can hit the top 3 decks, I actually have to put a solid choice if you have room. Triple Tactics Talents. I'm gonna have to put in situational. This one is, because even though it's such a good card, I mean, and it can go first or second if you do get ashed or maxied, and if you can play through the ash, or if you luckily have a cool buy for maxi or an ash to stop the maxi, then you get free draw, or you can just look at your opponent's hand if you've got already combo cards in your hand. And if you're going second, you know, you could take control of your opponent. However, the issue is, because of the top decks, as I mentioned earlier, they can have 1, 2, 3 Omni Negates on the field by that time. Yeah, it's a good negate bait though, at least. That's why I said situational. It's not lower, like it's really still good. It gets rid of one of the negates. But of course, you do want it to go off. You know, if you have this with a droplet or something, then it's nice. You know, you can use it, and if they do try to chain, then you could chain droplet and then use this as one of the discard fodder. But I'm putting it situational. Again, you don't want this for the bait. You want it for its actual effects, to draw to or take control. But now that there's a big chance of it just getting Omni negated, it's annoying. Lava Golem. Similar to Shifter in terms of certain decks can use it. If you don't need your normal summon, this is so good because of the top tier decks. All 3. Even Lab can sometimes have 2 monsters on field, but the other 3 will always have 2 or more monsters, and this becomes usable. Now the problem is you can't normal summon. So if you have the normal summon in your deck and it's important, you can't use this. I mean, if they had 2 Omni Negates on field, boom, they're gone. Then they can't do nothing. Shut up, you're dead. I forgot to put Kaijus here. They would go next to Lava Golem in the situational column. It's a 1-for-1. It's always viable going second. Get rid of the worst card possible. But of course, if your opponent has 2 or 3 boss monsters, then that's where Lava Golem or Severe Mode could be better. Lightning Storm. Do you know what? I'm going to put this one in situational. The cool thing about this is it's good against Lab, Dino Morphia, or any trap deck, or even when Branded have their trapping spell. And these days they're starting to implement combo decks searching trap cards, which is already hard enough going against combo. So now that they're getting traps, it's like, well, do we play harpies or not, and so on. So it's getting a bit crazy. So at least this can be versatile. The annoying thing is that most of the time they do just put their synchros or fusions into defense mode, so destroying monsters is pretty much useless. But if they do have like an Appaloosa or any link monsters, if you're going against, so I think it's situational. It can shine, it really can, and it depends on the deck. And if your opponent just for some reason went all attack mode, then they could be fucked. Yes, they can Omni negate it, similar to Tactics. It can always still just be a bait if they don't have an Omni negate and for some reason they're all in attack mode, or at least one of them monsters are, or if they have spell traps, you can destroy them. Bestials, I'm gonna put them solid choice. It's either solid choice or situational, but I'm gonna put solid choice because earlier today I was dueling against Branded with my Burning Abyss, and just one Bestial actually pretty much won me the game because they tried to do Branded in red, use my Bestial, boom, that died, and I had a monster on board. And I love Druce's effect because if it does die, gets sent to the graveyard, you can get rid of one of their special summon monsters. So it's just amazing. I love this card. And right now, it doesn't really hit Super Heavyweight Samurai, but it hits Vanadium, it hits Branded, it hits Lab, it hits Mathmech, it hits a lot of decks. So right now, it's still very strong. So I would definitely still keep this. Dark Ruler no more. This is usually amazing against combo decks. It really is. But the problem is, as I mentioned earlier, some of these decks are now able to search trap cards that can also negate. So you're not just dealing with those Omni negates on the field, you have to deal with an Omni negate as a trap. And it's like, bro, like, how are you supposed to stop this? I do believe Vanadium have a trap that negates. Doesn't touch any trap decks. Can't hurt Pearly Noir. I guess what it really does is, if you do have another trap in your hand, if you do have like another hand trap and you prevent them from searching any sort of spell or trap to negate this, then this can do you wonders. But if you can't, then yeah, its main purpose, like, you don't want to use this. You really don't want to use this for as a one omni negate bait. But I'm gonna put a situational because they're not always gonna have that trap card. Side frame, beautiful card. Imagine this was in 3, I think everyone would play it. I'm gonna put in solid choice. Solid choice if room, because if you can play a vanilla card, then it's just so powerful. I mean, you negate and destroy, like, especially when they try to Ashel Maxi you on your turn. If you're trying to use like a Roto or some sort of searcher, or if you're trying to special someone from the hand and it's an effect, not inherent, and then you gamma them, oh, it's the greatest feeling. But can your deck afford to play it? Phantasme is definitely goated. I'm joking, of course, that's not. You're a bum. You're a bum right now. The top decks don't really need their links. Of course, they can go into them, but they don't need to. Samurais do a lot of synchro summoning, and they can end in Appaloosa, but by that time they probably have an Omni Negate anyway, so it's useless. Branded, fusions, Vanadium, synchros. Again, they could go into a link, but what, to stop one searcher or something? Like, it's not worth it. It's not. Just don't. We're not really in a link format right now. We're in a synchro and fusion format. Bro, this video's long. I need to be quick. Severe mode. I'm gonna put in meh. It's not as good as Lava Golem, because even though decks like Samurai and Vanadium, they will have 3 or 4 monsters in field, and you could just, this disgusting against them. Branded can end on 2. Trap decks, they will never get to 3. Even other decks like Pearly, Vanquish Souls, they don't tend to have 3 on the field. So this could just be a dead hand. It really depends. If you just for some reason keep going against Vanadium and Samurai, then yeah, this is great, but you're not. That's the beauty of Master Duel. It's so versatile. There's so many decks you could go against, man. I love that. I do love it. It's not like TCG where you do face a lot of repeats and it does get a bit boring after a while. Master Duel, you can go from meta decks to the most random decks. Red Reboot, it has to go meh. This is also good against if Vanadium do have their trap card that negate. You can stop that, but what, for 1 card, you know, it's not worth it. Until Labyrinth get their support and become tier 1, yeah. Nah. Forbidden Droplet. I love this card. I'm gonna put in solid choice because I've put Shifter there and not every deck can play it, and I put Cyframe there and not every deck can play it. Droplet's the same. Not every deck can afford the discards, but if you can, if your deck can play it, it's the best when it comes to negation. Because say you discard a monster, a spell, and a trap, they have no interruptions. They can't do nothing. That is it. Your Droplet's going through and you get the negate 3 cards. If they have 2 monsters and you did a trap and a monster, they can't stop it. My point is, you can choose what you want to discard, and then you can prevent your opponent from countering. I love this card. Honestly, it's just sad that not every deck can play it, but it's because it's that powerful that certain decks can play it. It's also very good when it comes to bowling. So many times my opponent will attack me, I use this, half their attack, they die, I win. GG. Alright, let's try and speedrun some of these. Since we went with Lightning Storm, let's quickly do Harpies. Meh, I would rather play Lightning Storm. As I said, this at least has versatility. Harpies is only for spells and traps. You might get lucky, you might not, depending on the deck you face. It's just not worth it, especially with more combo decks than back row decks. Branded do have their spell and trap, and those are good. I would still rather play Lightning Storm, that's the thing, and I just don't feel like they should be in the same row. So now I'm gonna put in the meh with Raigeki. That's gonna count as Dark Hole as well, same thing. I mean, Dark Hole has more versatility depending on your deck, like if you're Tillerman, it helps you, but I just prefer Lightning Storm right now, again because of the versatility. It gives you more options, while these, they're not bad. If you're in the right moment, they're amazing, but if you're facing a deck that has no spells or traps in the back row, or if you're facing Lab or any trap deck, this is dead. These two are basically this. I know this has to, as I mentioned, it has to be an attack mode, but I still would prefer versatility. Is just nice. Thrust, solid choice if you have room. The problem with Thrust, it's better going second than first, because if you're going first, you have to set the card. I mean, you can always set an imperm, that's always nice. Or you can set up like a searcher or something, so when it goes to your next turn, you can continue playing. But going second is amazing because it allows you to search any normal spell or trap, usually a normal spell, Lightning Storm, Tactics, Herald, you know what I mean? Like, you can search any, it's amazing. Like, if you have room, oh, it's beautiful. trash. I mean, who cares about life points? Like, who cares? Imagine someone playing this. You're actually a bum. Like, this is, it must be the worst, I'm pretty sure. Contact C, is it? It's pretty dead. If they said you can't use this card to link, it wouldn't be bad. But the fact is you can. You could just use it to link. You can use it for any. You have to use it, that's the point, with Synchro or Fusion, whatever. But majority of the time they will have some sort of extra deck card to use. And you're just basically giving them free material. Evenly matched. I'm going to put it similar to Dark Ruler. It can be devastating if it goes off. Like, against trap decks, lab, oh my days, you can destroy so much. But the issue is combo decks can just set up Omni Negates, and it's so hard to set this off. You really need something like a Droplet. Just something like an Impa, maybe, to at least bait out their Omni Negate. If they only have one, then that's perfect. But if they have two, you need something. You need a bait out and then use this. They still have a boss monster on the field. Hopefully you can still try and play around that. That's why if I had to pick between this and Dark Ruler, I would actually still pick Dark Ruler. But it's still one monster. Imagine they had 7 cards on field. They have to go to 1. Insane. Lancia, nope. You're a bum. It's not the right format. It can be strong. I mean, it was extremely strong against Kashtira when Kashtira were like the best. Some of the top decks do banish like Branded, like Lab, but it's not enough. It's not enough to justify playing this. It's just not the right format. Reaper, I'm gonna say you're a bum. I was gonna put meh, because if you have a mirror match or you play generic synchros or links that other decks usually would play, then it's great. But this isn't TCG. See, when it's TCG, you're more likely to go against mirror matches or the top tiers. While, as I mentioned earlier, in Master Duel, there's so much versatility in terms of decks you face. Unless you are playing the top tier decks, you're not gonna face that many mirror matches. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it, because if you don't go against them, then this is the most dead card in your hand. So no, it's not worth it. Morna, I would say, is a worst version of Veiler. So yeah, look, it goes lower. The fact that you have to wait for your opponent to special summon and then use this, and they lose life points. No one cares about the life points part. So if they just normal summon and then use an effect like Mohi or a punk card, this card do nothing. So it's just, yeah, I mean, the fact that you have to wait for a special summon when these two could just do it anytime, it makes me think, like, who would play this? Unless you really just want to play negation hand traps, but I don't know why you do that. So really, this could go actually to You're a Bum. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in You're a Bum. I can't imagine someone playing this over Valen Impam, unless you really are playing 3-3 and you really want more hand trap negation. But there's just so many better choices then. Ghost Ogre, that goes to meh. Destruction's nice, but the fact that they still get their effects, it's just against the combo decks. They don't care. I swear they will not care. It's better to negate them rather than destroy them. But if you can negate and destroy, Cypher. Book of Moon. It's actually a nice card, honestly. Do you know, I'm gonna put situational. I think this is actually a pretty good card. The fact is, it doesn't stop Branded that much because they can still fusion. It doesn't stop negations, but what it can stop is XYZs, synchros, linking. You can use an either turn. You can set it if you've gone first. What's the negate bait if you're going second? It's actually a very versatile card. Unlike Ogre, where neither of them stop the negate and Ogre destroys, but they may have a graveyard effect and that's it. They go off. This, you flip them down, that's it. That card is basically done for the rest of the turn unless they tribute it. Book of Moon is very solid. Change of Heart, it's like, you know, mind controls all of them. Going to meh. Nah, I'm putting You're a Bum. I'm actually going to put in You're a Bum. Now, some of you might think, whoa, you take control of their monster. Like, why would you do that? You can take control with Triple Tactics as soon as they use one monster effect. But this also can allow you to draw and look at your opponent's hand. I don't see why you'd run it. Even though, in theory, it's a powerful card. If you was always guaranteed going second, it could be decent. Again, it is a negate bait. When you have a card like Triple Tactics Talents, which has more versatility, it's like, why? Why would you? And this doesn't even target. Nah, You're a Bum. No, like, imagine seeing someone play this, but not that. That would be mind-blowing. Retaliating Seat, You're a Bum. It's trash. I mean, one, you have to be face up on the field for it to banish all cards that go to the graveyard. Two, it's not even from a monster effect. You have to wait for a spell card effect. And three, it's not just any spell card. You have to wait for that spell card to special summon monsters. That's just, bro, like, why so many conditions for this to actually work? Like, that's so dead. It's so dead. Alpha Beast. Love the card. I mean, it's got a sick name as well. Alpha, but nah. Sadly, you're a bum. If this was a quick effect, it would be amazing. But the fact is, you could go onto the field, and if they have some sort of interruption that just targets and destroys or something like that, it can be destroyed before it gets to even use its effect. Unlike Dino Wrestler, who I think is actually going to be pretty good. I'm going to put situational. This is a good bait for an Omni Negate if you're going second, and it can pop any card. It's a quick effect. If they try to activate a field effect or a continuous spell, or if they summon a monster, you can destroy. Bro, this has got a lot of versatility, and I love that it's a quick effect, unlike this one. Alpha Beast doesn't target, but it's just like, man. Like, why can't you have quick effect? Just too slow now. You would have to be in a format where everything is just half the speed. The fact, if it said just monsters, it would probably go to meh, but the fact is any card. And it doesn't even have to be face up, it's just any card. Like, that is so good. That's honestly so solid. Token collector, you destroy tokens. Yay. Get out. Book of Eclipse, I would say it's meh right now. The effect is amazing. It flips all monsters on the field to face down, but if they do have like an Appaloosa or a Link monster, it doesn't. And if you somehow can't rid the whole field, which I'm hoping if you're using this card, you need a deck that can definitely get rid of everything they've got. They will draw at the end phase, the amount of cards they have to flip back up. So I mean, as long as you can go into like a Zeus, or if you had like a Raigeki right after, then it's good. I think Bokumun's better though. Kurikara, at one point it was actually a solid choice. I'm gonna put it in the meh choice now. Now, the norm is Omni Negates, which is still insane to me. I don't know why. By the time they use their Omni Negates, they've stopped important combo cards for yourself, or important cards to search, or whatever you need to do. So it's like, when you do Kurikara them, yeah, it'll be nice to get rid of them, but it's like they've already stopped your best plays, because that's what they usually do. They save their Omni Negates for your most important cards. So it's like, well, now what? I mean, I've had some people drop this on me, and honestly, I don't mind. And I still end up winning, because it's like, well, I still got more cards. Fenrir, I actually think Dino Wrestler is better than Fenrir right now. Purely because you do have to wait for the effect to go through. And unless you're playing other Kashtira, you can't search anything anymore. Before, you could just search him again. If he gets destroyed, at least next turn you can special summon him again. But now, you have to play another Kashtira to resolve at least one of his other effects. And nah, I think he's definitely more of a meh. Don't get me wrong, if you see him in your hand, it's still nice. You can bait out a negate, you can bait out a trap or whatever, you can bait something out. But it's just annoying that I used to use him and then use his add effect and then bait out an Ash. Now you can't do that anymore. No material, it sounds nice, don't get me wrong, it does sound nice, but maybe they don't even need that monster to do anything and it still gets his effect. Don't get me wrong, it can stop extensions and it's for special summon monsters only. If it was for normal summon monsters, this would be much better. Then I would put in situational or meh, but it's for a special summon. So if they haven't even used their normal summon, they'll just normal summon after and then find a different route to a end board. Droll, right now, I believe this is goated. I do believe it. That's why I saved it till last. Some people might put in solid choice. Look what it stops. Out of those 3 top decks, doesn't stop branded at all. Branded pretty, I mean, you might stop like one search, but I mean, no, let's just say it doesn't stop branded. It stops Vanadium big time. It stops Samurai big time. Doesn't really stop Lab as well. I'm adding Lab in there because I've done it this whole video. But 2 of the top 3, it's basically like another Maxi. It really just shuts off their deck. They can't add, and the amount of adding they do is insane. It's literally the Maxi of adding. You know, they just shut off your deck, and they can't do anything about it. And not just those decks. Stops Mathmech, stops Pearly. I mean, if Dragon Links are going to still be alive, it stops them. Any deck that basically requires adding more than 1 card, it just stops them. And it's so good. I don't see an argument why you shouldn't play it. I don't see why not. But yeah, there you go. I know there's some cards where you could argue if they're from meh, they could go to situational, or if they're in situational, maybe you could argue them as being a solid choice. But I'm pretty confident with this list. Again, this is 100% fact, not opinion. So take this advice with certainty. No, I'm joking, just in case you actually think I'm serious. No, this is all opinion. I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below. Let me know which card you think I'm right on, what I'm wrong on, where you would put certain cards, and which you're a bum card is the best. Keeping this outro short. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a thumbs up if you did, and if this does help you, I would appreciate it. And again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now I'm done. Slouser is out. Enjoy the rest of the format. Peace.